Tanse, Wachie, Lenete. I bring greetings from the MKO chiefs that I represent, and I greet every one of our citizens that are in our Kuwait Nok Askik. As the world goes through this pandemic known as the novel coronavirus, I believe that it is our responsibility as First Nation people to do our utmost to flatten the curve. Flattening the curve simply means doing everything we can to contain the virus and also the isolation measures that are taken to prevent this virus from penetrating our First Nations. 1.9 million people have been affected by the coronavirus. In Canada, over 25,000 people have been affected by this virus. In Manitoba, today, 242 confirmed cases have been identified and reported. In northern Manitoba, there have been 3 cases in northern Manitoba. And First Nation communities, the numbers are growing in Ontario and Quebec, and in Saskatchewan. The media has reported that there has been 2 cases of people bringing in the virus into our First Nations. So I think it is time, as Indigenous people that live in our First Nations, to do our utmost to protect our people. It's time to double down on our efforts to keep this virus from impacting our people. I want to acknowledge all the chiefs that have been having check stops, and they're having lockdowns in their First Nations. And this is the best way to keep the virus from affecting our people. In the north, we're most vulnerable. When it hits the north, it will hit hard and it'll move fast. So we must be diligent to do what we can to isolate ourselves in our First Nations. I know that's virtually almost impossible, but I think that the risk of bringing in this virus is because of people that are transient, people that are going in and out of our First Nations. The virus will not come from within, it will come from the outside. So it is important today to think about the responsibility that we have to each other, to our families, and to our communities. The risks in the north are now escalating, and we need to act, and we need to act now in order for us to minimize the impact of COVID-19 in our First Nations. Right now, a lot of First Nations are securing their borders, but it's time to double down on preventing people from going in and out unless it's absolutely necessary. I believe that there are reasonable conditions for people to leave for medical conditions and medical appointments, but all unnecessary travel should be avoided. I think that the precautionary measures that we take will save lives. And we're in this for a while, and we have to be patient. I think the stronger we are in securing our borders, the less impact that we'll have on our First Nations. But as long as we have people going in and out, the risk is greater. Our response will determine the impact of COVID-19 on our First Nations. And our lack of response will also determine how much it will impact our people, our families, our nations. This virus is transmitted through human contact. When people cough and they sneeze and droplets of that fluid goes in a radius of at least 6 feet. And when you come into contact with that, your chances of being sick are great. So I think that social isolation is the only thing that we can do to prevent this virus from affecting us. Social distancing is imperative. And I hear of stories of people still congregating, gathering together in places without really giving thought of what they're putting themselves in. They don't know the risk that they're putting themselves in by going to public places. I live in the north. I see it all around me here where I live in Thompson, that people need to really be serious. This is a life and death situation. Your actions will determine your safety. Your actions can affect your life. So choose wisely. Make your decisions in a very circumspect manner, because what you do will impact other people as well. Your actions can put people in jeopardy and at risk. So I just want to say to you as a relative I say unto you, let's do what we can to stop this virus from coming into our First Nations. The risk is great. The damage it can create can be great. But I think if we act and be strong and secure our borders, our chances of our people surviving will be that much greater. We will get through this, but we must work together. We're in this together, and we'll get through this together. I want to thank our chiefs for being strong. I want to thank our leaders for being strong, and all the people that are involved in pandemic planning in our First Nations. I just want to say thank you to all the frontline workers. I want to say thank you for doing what you can to save us, to save our people. I just want to say we acknowledge you, and we owe a debt of gratitude, because you're putting your own lives on the line to protect our people. And I just want to say thank you to everyone. So let's do our part. Let's do our utmost to stop COVID-19 from entering our First Nations.